Hello, I'm Jerry Criss. I'm out of Lapine, Oregon. That's in the central part of the state. We're going to do a soft hackle that I fish dry. We're going to put some microfibet tails on it and a couple other oddball things, but it's kind of a neat pattern to fish during a blue wing olive hatch, or I actually do very well before a hatch starts or after the hatch is starting to end. I believe it kind of dictates a cripple. I think most soft hackles imitate a merger or a cripple of some kind. So we're going to start with a microfibet tail. You see here, this is just a standard dun one, a gray. But you see on the right-hand side here, there's some black striped. Let's kind of give it a little different look. Calabatus, I think, have a striped tail. So we're going to do that. Another nice tailing material is a coca de long. And it's got, if I bend it here, you'll see that it's got glistening and got some nice little stripes to it, nice coloring to it. I use those also, but I think the synthetic lasts longer and seems to really make a really durable set of tails. We're going to pick out two, and we're going to tie them in split. We're not going to put a little ball in the back or anything like that. To get the tips to line up, I kind of flick them, and then that kind of opens them, and these are in pretty good shape. So it's a little bit longer than the full shank of the hook. And I'm going to tie them in with a pinch move and pull down. And then I'm going to put a little angle on the tails and hold them up. As long as I do that, it'll stay right on top, and you want the tails on top. Now, to split it, I'm going to take the thread under the tails, like so, and then I'm going to pull it. And as I pull, I'm going to massage the tips out to the side until I get those two tails split where I want them. And once I get a tail, then I bring the thread right angle to the hook shank again and pull over once, maybe twice, and you've got a nice set of split tails. Now trim out the excess, trim it back a little bit. Now for the body of this, we're going to use a material that Danville puts out called stretch nylon. Okay, and it has a stretch quality to it that is kind of neat. It's great for nymphs and chironomids and things like that. It doesn't come in too many colors, basically brown and green and red and black. So it's not, the whole spectrum of colors. I'm going to dampen the tip just a little bit to make it easier to tie in. And we're just going to lay it against the hook shank and pull over and grab it there. No, didn't get it that time. And then I'm going to kind of pull it to length so I don't have to do any trimming here. And I'm going to tie that down, tie that to the back. Now what's neat about this stuff is you stretch it, and you can make the tie-in point where I tied it in back here, where I'm going to start, you can make it real fine just by stretching it out. So make sure that the tails stay split when I do this so we don't lose my nice split. So now we're going to pull it in the back. And that way the body will start to get we'll have a nice slim beginning to this. And as I come forward, I will relax my tension, and then it'll start to get a little fatter, and we get a nice taper to the body. Now this is like any soft hackle. It's very fast, but you got to make them neat. Okay, that's a nice slim body up there. A couple of wraps to hold it. We'll trim that excess out. And I keep it on a bobbin just to save material, and it just makes it easier to handle. Okay, so now we're going to take some ice stub. Now this is pink ice stub. On the little river that I fish this is, which is the Fall River in Oregon, the pink works. I've had good fishing days where I change flies on a good fishing day. I got a lot of rises of blue wing olive hatch, and I find that that's the time to test flies. I mean, I get a chance to fish there a lot, so it's not like I don't ever catch fish, so I get a chance to really experiment. And I found that this pink was the deal. whatever works for you. You could use any other ice dub color. You can start with orange. You could start with peacock. Black peacock seems to be a one that works real well. You don't want the little ball too. We're going to put a little ball in it. Basically, we're going to put a thorax in this of this ice dub. Now, once I get it tied in a little bit, I'm going to kind of trim out the excess from the first wraps. I'm going to make sure I have room for my hackle up here. And you'll see what I did is I just basically put my fingernails together and pushed back just like you would a deer hair, stacking deer hair. Now, I don't care about all the little fibers sticking out. It's good to have some sticking out. I just don't want too many over the front when we get the hackle in. So that looks pretty good right now. I got one wild one. Let me get off to the side here a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to hackle this. And the hackle that I have here is a cross between like a dun and a soft hackle. It's got the fibers a little stiff, but it still has enough softness to it with I get the action I want out of them. I don't use partridge for this. I find it's too black or too brown. I really want a dun hackle of some kind. Okay, and we're not going to strip off one side. We're going to use both sides. We're just going to make sure that when we tie this in, we're pulling backwards. We're pulling the fibers backwards. We tie it in that in 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably could have got away with 3, but we'll go ahead and put the 4th one in there. I'm going to use a hackle plier on this. And a little trick with the hackle pliers is you can open those up. And I put shoe goo or silicone or something on one side only. And I let that dry for a couple of days. Then you come back and you can push it back together, and it gives you a real nice cushion. It really holds much better than the metal to metal does. Even if it's serrated, I find it just holds terrific. Okay, so we're going to put in one wrap, and we're going to keep massaging these hackles back because I don't want anything forward. We'll get 2 wraps in there. About 2.5, and then we're going to kind of start pulling the thread in there. I think I'm going to come up and go get my full 3 in there. Now, as soon as my thread hits the stem, I'm going to pull back with my right hand just a little bit, and then I'm going to drop the thread. I don't want that to break, and then I'm going to put tension on it, hold tension. I'm going to take that and go right back through there. And you'll find you'll get a little V that'll hold. When you pull that feather back, it'll shred just enough, and that'll just stay there, and you're winding the thread right through that. It's a nice way on your dry flies, too. So now I'm going to come in, try not to clip. I'm just going to kind of push the scissors. I'm going to tighten the thread up a little bit. Loosen it up, I mean. So now I got a little flat spot up here, and I put a little head. Now I'm going to do a hand whip on this. 2, 3. Now one of the things with hand whipping that happens is you can get a cross of thread right here in the loop. I'm going to try to show you if I can loosen this up. See if I can show you this cross of thread right here. Now, if I drag this up right now with that cross of thread, this whole thing will shred because those fibers will rub each other. Now I opened the loop. Now I can drag that up, and we didn't shred. We shredded, but it was able to come through and get out of there without much damage. I don't know what it is about some of the threads today. I guess it's the fine fibers. When you drag them against each other, they'll just saw each other and cause all kinds of problems. Let me get that straight back in the vise. And I think that looks pretty good. I've got a little bit of cleanup to do around the head, just some fibers did come out of that. And that's another thing. I use really fine tipped scissors for this, for my work. I just find when you have to do something like that, they're worth their weight in gold. And there we have it. Now, I fished this dry. I used frog's fanny or any kind of dry desiccant floating that you like. And you can see that has a nice kind of glistening look to it. And I really can't explain why it works. I just can tell you that it does. And That's the Blue Wing Olive Soft Tackle.